Okay. Ek hoop julle het lekker gesels in julle groepies. En bietjie ontdek wie is en die ouens met julle tyd spandeer en Zolet, kan jy vir ons so vinnig terugvoer gee, net sommer een of twee sinnetjies?
Ek dink wat uitgekom het is dat we always have positive and negative influences. So some people are mostly positive and but most of them are positive and negative.
Okay, that's excellent. I think that's important that we acknowledge this. So thank you very much. Rika, daar by julle.
Excuse, wat sê jy?
Ek wil net weet wat terugvoer, een of twee terugvoer van julle groepie, uit julle groep uit.
Ja, weet jy, die overall was gewees, jy weet, die meeste naby verhoudinge is goed, maar daar is natuurlik die verhoudinge wat 'n mens beïnvloed waarmee jy nie naby verhoudinge het nie. Weet, al is dit, jy weet, gewoonlik is dit ons het 'n neiging om goeie verhouding te hê met mense naby ons, maar die rede hoekom ons nie noodwendig 'n goeie verhouding het met ander nie, is omdat hulle nie noodwendig naby verhoudinge is nie. En daai verhoudinge beïnvloed 'n mens. Of 'n mens nou jy weet, daaraan dink, spesifiek daaraan dink, maar dit het in jou onderbewussyn beïnvloed daardie verhoudinge nog steeds hoe jy reageer en jou lewe aanpak.
Jy sien, julle is fantastiese Christelike mense. Ek kon my broer die ander dag geklap het in sy kop dat hy daar vlieg. So, hoe nader partykeer die verhouding, hoe erger is dit. Ek moet by julle tyd spandeer. Julle klink fantasties. Pleziet.
Jack, het ons 2 of 3 groepe gehad?
Ons het 3 groepe gehad. So, Zolet en ek was nie by die een groep gewees nie, verskoon my. Maar wie was in die groepie waar daar niemand? Ek dink dit was wie gaan hulle gesig vir my wys waar daar nie 'n fasiliteerder was nie. Geef ons 'n bietjie terugvoer. Okay, dan gaan ek iemand kies. Dis my bladsy. Delmarie, jy kry 10% ekstra op die eindeksamen. Baie geluk.
Baie dankie. Ja,
wat het julle gesien?
Ek dink ons was eintlik in 'n baie lekker groepie want ons is meeste mense wat ons geken het van die vorige keer. Daar was 'n paar nuwe gesigte, maar dit was lekker om net bietjie op te vang en te hoor hoe dit gaan met almal. En ja, die verhoudings, ons het ook maar gesien daar's verskillende verhoudings. Die wat die grootste rol speel in meeste van ons is ons mans. En daar's positief en daar's negatief in meeste van ons en dan ook ons kinders. Dan het ons maar gehad ja, mense wat siek is in die verhoudings, wat nogal so 'n groot invloed op jou lewe het. Daar was ook familie en skoonfamilie. Die skoonfamilie nie so positief soos die familie nie, maar ja, ons het eintlik maar net regtig lekker gesels en ja, weer bietjie opgevang.
Dankie. I think one of the key things that we need to do from time to time is to evaluate the quality of our relationships. We don't always realize that we are in an unhealthy relationship. And it's true of everybody. Thank you, Jack, for being so honest. En Zolet het ook haar kop geskit, sy het gesê, of sy het genod. I agree with Jack. Sometimes the closest relationships can cause the most stress.
Yeah, I didn't want to be sarcastic, so apology for that. But it really is that, and I'm glad to hear that there's a kind of a healthy mix of experiences, that people are experiencing. But I think through the next few hours, day and a half, we're going to see that even within relationships, we become so conditioned in those relationships that we think it's all right. Now, I'm not trying to look for any demons behind the bush, or, trying to say that there is trauma where there isn't. But for me, relationships, in a sense, can be a potential minefield if we don't navigate them wisely.
One of the key things is Jolie, wil jy net ietsie comment gemaak het? Okay. I think one of the key things we need to just realize is that relationships change, and sometimes we have not changed within the relationship, and we need to adapt to I remember as a young mom, when your kids are small, the things that you need to do now. My children are out of the house, they're living their own lives, and it's a totally different relationship I have with them. And I, as the mom, had to adapt to their needs as they grow older. And it changes in the seasons of their lives as well. So it's important that we look at our relationship dynamics in a regular basis. The other thing is that we need to acknowledge what's happening in our unhealthy relationships, because that's the only way we can start to pray about it. How can you pray about a relationship when you are not honest with what's happening within that relationship? So it's important that we regularly look at our relationship dynamic and what is it doing to me? How is it influencing me in my identity, in my personhood, in my being, in my functioning role? Okay. So we are now going to go and look at a concept that we call crazy makers. Okay. For those who live in the real world, those are the people that we have in our lives that drives us crazy. It's just they have a way. Let me explain what it does for me. On my phone, I've got a notification bell from Eskom. Every time that thing goes ping, I feel like this tension is rising in my body. And I've got a crazy maker, and that's that Eskom notification, and I cannot take it off because I need to know what's happening with our reality. This is what they do. They have a habit of giving you a notification, a sound, a bell, a trigger point. But I want to be careful with using the word trigger, but they push your buttons. And you respond, and you don't like who you are. This is what I love about Jack's example with his brother, because this is so totally alien to who Jack is when it comes to how he deals with conflict or stress.
It's not so alien. You should see me tomorrow evening when the Springboks play Ireland.
Okay, when there's rugby, yes.
Yeah, it's different.
But they force you, this is what I'm trying to say, Jack, they force you to behave in a way that is alien to yourself. You sort of betray yourself.
My specific personality, I'm a person, I internalize conflict, so I avoid conflict because I don't like how it makes me feel. But when I have a conflicting situation, or there's aggression or anger or whatever, then I would like build up, and then like just blurt out a whole lot of I don't want to say obscenities, but I want to, I attack, and I'm angry. And then like 5 minutes later, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry I shouldn't have said that. So it's this whole crazy dynamic that happens. So that's why I don't like to get into, very heated conflict. But I realized that I need a strategy to deal with that, because you can't avoid it.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's very true. So let's talk about I want you to visualize a relationship that you have in which you have a crazy maker. And you're lucky if you only have one relationship like that. We have many of these relationships. Let's just put it out there in case you think this is, we are exempted from it. If you're going to look at, for example, Jesus's relationship with his earthly family that he born into, his brothers. At one stage, Jack, isn't there a scripture that says, "Who's my brothers? These are not my brothers." So
it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting, Jose, that you mentioned that, because so Jesus, I don't know if Jesus had a brother, but he had half brothers. So that means Mary remarried. So it kind of means that Joseph might have died before, Mary died. So Jesus had extended family, and they probably grew up in the same household, but Mary had different husbands. And so it's not just a nuclear family with kids, it's an extended family with stepchildren. And so Jesus knows the dynamics of added family, and he knows what family dynamics and relational dynamics can look like in relationships and in families.
Okay, so important. So, and his brothers didn't really like him very much. They sort of didn't want to acknowledge him. They sort of like, let's cross the street and not walk in the same.
But imagine you have Jesus as a brother. I mean, he's always trying to outshine you, and he's like, oh, it's just this goody two shoes, just he knows the whole Torah when he was 2-3 years old, and it's like I'm just tired of that. So guys, you must really start to think of the Bible like this. Remove all the religion stuff and the spiritual stuff, and just read it for once as real life, because the Bible, in a sense, is the greatest document in existence about the intricacies and the realities of everyday life and how to deal with that. And if we read it in a romantic way and just over spiritualize it, we're going to lose so much.
We're going to lose how God actually engaged us in the reality of our lives. Because
when Jesus said he became man, he became human, he really became human. Think of all the challenges that you have with people and relationships, and with challenges and stress and drama. Jesus knew all of that. He knew what it felt like to sleep on the ground in dirt. He knew what it was like to experience jealousy, experience hatred, and I'm saying experience because it's not wrong or sin to experience these things. So he knows.
So let's quickly look at, and we call this term crazy makers. Another word would be manipulators, but we call them crazy makers because of the effect that we have. We need to find this clip, Jack, of Mr. Fawlty and Manuel from Fawlty Towers, and there's this one. She go crazy. This is exactly.
I'll try and find that quickly.
We need to show that, because this is exactly what happens for us. This is what happens for us, and they come in all shapes and sizes. Some have good intentions, and others have bad intentions. So you can be we always use this example from Jack's mom that told Jack when he was young guy at university. If he goes into a pub, you must remember Jesus stays at the door. Sort of thing, that's a good manipulation, that type of thing.
No, he goes in with you. He needs to be in there, I promise you.
So some have good intentions and some have bad intentions. Others don't have a clue how crazy they make you. Please make a note next to that. That is, as you grow in your studies and you learn more, you're going to become more aware of your impact on others. That's one of the things that we don't realize, how our behavior impact other people. And this is what we mean here. That person is emotionally stumped. They are emotional infant. They're even a spiritual infant, because they have no idea how this relationship, how their behavior influences you, or what the effect of their tantrum or their demands have on you. Then there's the next sentence. I need you to highlight it in 2 different colors. Some of our crazy makers consistently behave in this way. They exhaust you, because you know when you're going to enter a conversation with this person, it's going to be a moaning mini. And all they're going to do is they're just going to complain from morning to night, and you almost don't have the spiritual energy or the physical energy or the emotional energy to listen to this. Others are like cats. They wait around the corner to surprise you just as soon as you relax and you are growing in yourself and you express something, they pounce. And there's I love this little, I saw this cat joke that somebody put up about, it's a cartoon, and the man is scratching the cat's belly, and there's something written there at the bottom, waiting for and 3 dots, because a cat, you relax, you are just petting the cat, and the next minute the cat bites those same hands for some unknown reason. So we need to know the following. Crazy makers are different. There's not a template of a crazy maker. We're going to share 4 types with you, but there are obviously a cross section of this. You need to know that some people have got good intentions and some have got bad intentions, right? That's important. You need to know that some are constantly in the same manipulative behavior, while others are intermittent. We need to learn to recognize the behavior. Highlight that word for me. We need to recognize the behavior so that we can make an assessment of, does this stem from a healthy or unhealthy place? To enable you, Jack has said something, he needs a strategy to address a situation in which there's going to be conflict. So let's say you have this manipulative person in your world, in your life. You need to find a strategy, a plan that you need to employ to empower yourself within this relationship. I'm coming back to our very first opening. We said God did not make us puppets and wobbly persons. He made us men and women with integrity. So we have to act within all our relationships with integrity. How does that look like? What does it look like? So we're now on a recording, so I just hope it will be okay to share this. We have neighbors that are very good to us, but they are, especially the husband, he drinks quite a bit, and he drinks quite a bit of a specific name of beer. So they came to for an event by us. Now my challenge is I don't drink beer, okay? And the other thing is I don't drink it out of the thing that it comes in, the tin or whatever it comes in. If I have to drink something, it will be in a glass. So now I already have stress, because what am I going to say? Because I don't want to have conflict, Jack. I want to enjoy the evening with them. They've been so good to us, really, very, very good to us with helping us with solar and all stuff, with information and stuff. And now we're having this celebration, our solars and all of those things. And I know this man is going to, and he comes with his cooler box full of whatever it is. My conflict is, what do I do? So my strategy was simple. I just decided I'm going to have my juice or my wine or whatever it might have been. Can't remember exactly now, but I'm going to have that and say I'm happy with that because I know that I will not drink that specific alcohol or whatever it might be. But I had to say it's okay for myself. I actually spoke to my husband as well and said, please, I don't want that. I'm not going to have it. So don't put me in a difficult position by telling me, I'll just try it because you might enjoy it, because I know I don't want to. You need to empower yourself in difficult relationship settings, and it will be okay. Right, so that empowering yourself to be who you are within that relationship is so amazing. And so that is what is important in this. Recognize a manipulative behavior, have a strategy, empower yourself within that space and place. We have this example of two ties, and the two ties is a real life example. It comes from a study about manipulation, about the mom that gives her son two ties for a family occasion. Then he goes to the occasion and he's wearing the wrong tie. And he gets yelled at for wearing the wrong tie. Why didn't you just tell him wear the blue one and not the red one? Or whatever the case might be. Years later, after the son had grown up and got married, he presented his wife with two dresses for a works function. And what happened? You guys can guess. So she chose the one she wanted to wear, and that was wrong. So she was in trouble for wearing the wrong dress. How do you make this choice? You see, they give you choice. They put you in a position that no matter what you choose, you're going to fail. Important lesson. No matter of the two, they set you up for failure. So now they have children. This couple have a child, and this is the sad part. 1, 2, 3rd generation. Mom and dad vied for her hugs. So this little girl had to work out a system in her head. Hugging first mom today and hugging dad first the next time. She had to work out a system. How cruel and how sad, and definitely not full of grace is such a relationship dynamic. The person sets you up to lose. Now, I want you to just take a moment, and maybe you guys in the chat, where's our chat box? So maybe you guys can just in the chat tell me, what do you feel when you fail? Or you can talk to us. When you experience failure, how does that feel for you? Specific in a relationship. So I'm going to put you in the hot seat and just ask you a question. Let's say they set you up to fail in a relationship. What do you feel at that point?
If you actually realize what's happening, then manipulation, you feel manipulated, and okay, maybe this is oversharing, but it's kind of that situation with my teenage daughter at the moment. So I feel like I'm being set up for failure all the time.
Okay, so nothing that you do is quite good enough.
Nothing. The food is too salty or too sweet. I didn't make the lunch right. I didn't do this right. It's just, you are set up for failure the whole time. So at this stage, I kind of am at the place where you start feeling your self-vertrouwen.
Yes,
in that area, it's being affected, because it's a place of, okay, why should I even try? It's not going to be right anyway.
Please, can you guys write this down, what Zulette just said, because this is the effect in the end when we are on the losing side of that relationship. We try and we try. And Zulette, I'm going to ask you, but thank you for sharing that. This is a painful place to be.
Yes.
This is painful. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, because this is what when we talk about this quickly, they're setting us up to lose. But once we experience ourselves in the situation as the loser, I just want to answer you. Hannah said she experienced herself as not good enough. Jack said anger and frustration creeps into my being, and that is why it's making me crazy, because that's not who I am. Oh, Delaroy's defeated. What a powerful word to use in a relationship. Defeated. Yes, as though this person is just stronger than you. Like a failure, says Janine. Delaroy is insignificant. I think that's another important one, because we find ourselves in a space where we are supposed to give and share. We want that dynamic relationships, and now we feel insignificant. Unworthy, Salome, yes. Oh, I like the word discouraged, because this is exactly what Zulette has explained to us. I'm ready to give up, because no matter what I try, it's not right. I'm discouraged in this space and in this specific relationship. Not good enough from Reina. So Reina, that not good enough speaks to my identity as I am, something's wrong with me. And I like, Janine, your other thing that you said, not measuring up. Can we just take a moment and say not measuring up? Let's just use this. But to who's holding the yardstick? Who's holding that yardstick, that measuring tape? And is it a fair measuring tape? Is it a fair yardstick? There's a scripture in the Bible that says we must not use a compromised measuring stick. They talk about a measuring stick. So who's measuring you? And is the measuring stick realistic? Is the yardstick realistic? Is it true? Octavia, I love your word. I feel miserable. I feel miserable. And now, Siska, I almost missed yours. You said skeptical and full of, is it self-doubt? Self-doubt. You can answer, you can put on your sound.
No, it's not self-doubt, but it is, I don't trust the person anymore, because it doesn't matter which way it goes, it's always wrong. So then I tend to step back.
Okay, so in that specific relationship, there's now a loss of trust.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, and I think we can also associate with that. Namara said moedeloos. I'm losing my hope for no matter where we go. And then disappointed from Aletta. Disappointed. Aletta, is it disappointed in yourself or in the other person? Where did we, this is important. Both. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Can you see when we say this crazy making is when a person sets us up to lose? When we put ourselves in the shoes of the losing side, this is painful. This is not an easy place to find ourselves in. So, and remember now, we now engage that person from this position. Wow. We now engage this person. Siska, I want to use your example from a place of distrust. I cannot share too much with you because I can't trust you. What are you going to do with my heart, my stories that I'm going to tell you? So we engage from a position of distrust. Or we engage from disappointment. Or we engage from failure. I feel like failure, so why try to do anything about it? Wow. That's important that we realize this. Because one is put in a lose-lose situation, and there are so many games that are being played for that you cannot find the answers. So let's say, then it's too sweet, then it's too salty, then it's not enough salt, then it's not enough sugar. there's no rhyme or reason or understanding in this place where I find myself. And I like this last sentence that the author has given us. We feel like we're caught in a whirlwind of chaos. This is actually the emotions that I see here. In my mind, I see this picture of a whirlwind with all your emotions and your experiences that you have shared with us, written into that whirlwind, with the life force sucked out of us. Somebody, I read this once, they call them emotion vampire. They take your things away from you, and they like this lady with her hands in her hair. They leave you sort of like ready to pull out your hair because you're hurting yourself. So we're getting to, this is the result of the crazy making. We're starting to become self-destructive. And when I say self-destructive, I don't mean always that you cut yourself or something like that. But we start to, this is what I want to share from what Jack said. It makes me do things that's out of my own character, that goes against my value systems. So it's important that we say this whirlwind of chaos. And remember, it is that relationship has got time as well. So there is this, and they go, let's use Zulette's daughter. She comes to, she's breakfast, the eggs is to Ronnie or whatever the case might be, and then she goes to school. So she's for a couple of hours, we have breathing space, and then the fallout of that whirlwind we have to deal with. And just as soon as we've dealt with it, they come back and the next whirlwind happens. And we sometimes don't have enough time to deal with the fallout of a whirlwind, to heal from that. That is why we talk about this is in specific relationships. There's a couple of what I call, from the crazy makers, they have a couple of tactics. The double bind. These double binds are negative messages, verbal messages or non-verbal messages, disguised as a positive message or gesture. The double bind sets us up to lose, as in the example of the mother and the two ties. So they are trying to move you or motivate you to do something, but they use a negative verbal message. Those negative messages have got a sticky substance behind them. We can say, oh, I'm not going to take it from that person, but those words find a way to hook onto our heart. And we need to deal with that pain inside of us. Then there's a more subtle person that engages more in the way that they, with their body. Somebody mentioned in-laws. So Zulette have met me. Was it the beginning of the year, Zulette, that I actually physically met her? No, you're not just over the screens. We actually hugged and talked and so on. I like to give a hug and so on. So my mother-in-law, not a huggy person at all. But when I used to hug her, she used to go like that. But now she hugs me. So this is the thing. There's this, when I used to hug her and she pulled her face away, that was a hurtful message. That says, I don't want you in my space. But persistence paid off in my case. So there is the last one, the third one, is that one that's very difficult to describe. This is the I love you, but with an angry look. So, but the person's word, let me describe it this way. The words do not match the expression. Yes, that's the better way to describe this. words don't match their expression. If you are unlucky to be like me, where your emotions are all over your face, you can't do that one. So because everybody knows exactly what I'm thinking and feeling. It's just like it's written on my face. But other people have this ability to convey different messages while their body language conveys something else. So these are this double bind tactics is mostly employed by crazy makers. It's the mousetrap. This is literally what this double bind is. It's a mousetrap. I will give you this piece of cheese, and as you take it, wham, the trap goes shut, and you are caught in the spring mechanism. Careful, it might be a trap. Because you see, we focus, especially in the relationship, we focus on that piece of cheese, that thing that we want from the relationship. And we don't see the spring or the trap behind it. This is what Cisco also said. Now, because I've been trapped, because I've been hurt in this space before, I withdrew, and I cannot trust this person easily again. Please write next to number 2, NB. For those who have got small children, inconsistent praise is a master manipulator. We have to be consistent in all that we do. I think you need to write down the word consistency, because consistency leads to security. But inconsistent praise is where you want to have acknowledged. Let me start by this. We all have the need to be acknowledged by another human being. This is how God created us. So let me repeat. We all have a need to be acknowledged, accepted, loved by another person, another human. This is how God created us to be. God said in Genesis 2, it's not good that man is alone. Right. So we have this, He created us for relationships with Him, first of all, of course, but also with other people, with people in our environment. Now, because we want that acknowledgement, that love from that person, we will do whatever they want to feel accepted by them. Okay, so they have done research with animals, and they have discovered the following: that with an inconsistent reward, the animals train faster. So the person presents at times loving, present in the relationship. They talk to you, they flatter you, and it feels good. You feel loved, you feel accepted. And then for some reason, it's gone again. And you're like this man standing on this ball, balancing a plank on the point of a triangle, because you don't know how to balance yourself, where you must put your next foot to be able to experience acceptance. We become addicted to inconsistent praise. We become addicted to the possibility of receiving praise. Let me rather put it that way. It's the brain function that works with gambling and social addictions like online activities and things like that. That's the pathway in the brain that works with the same thing. It's actually what happens in the brain, because we get a hit of certain feel-good hormones and chemicals, when we hear that we are loved and accepted, and then it's taken away, so there's a drop, and then we want to have it again, so we do more and more and more for this. Okay, and this is what happens when we are hooked by the word real is now the new buzzword on the internet. Well, I think it might have even changed by now. That constant hit of something different in a constant way triggers feel-good hormones in the brain, but it's a passive activity, not a positive activity. Okay, so that is why we get hooked into this relationship. And number three is the one that's very difficult to address. Number three is selective memory. So all of us remember only certain things. If I have to put Zalette or Rika in the hot seat and I'm going to ask them, what do you remember from your studies? They're going to have to think quickly and fast to tell us something that they remember. They're not going to remember everything. They're not going to remember the first year or all those things. They're not that. They're going to sort of like choose to what something to remember. But the person with selective memory, they do it this way. Okay, so they will always remember every single thing that you have done wrong in their eyes. Somebody talked about measuring. They will measure you and tell you why you are not measuring up, according to them. And they've got records of this, so they're going to tell you on the 12th of August 1955, you did not, or you did. And the problem is, they are right. So you did do that, or you did not do that. They're right. This is real. So you can't dispute them and saying they lie. But they forget that you fixed the problem or that you changed something later on. And all the good stuff that you have done is never remembered. Never. It's only the negative that they remember. Now, if you dare to give them a fact of their behavior, when they will measure you, let's say, my husband is a coffeeholic, literally, and I can never make the coffee strong enough for him. I always put in too much milk. And when he makes it for me, it's like this raise the dead coffee because it's very strong. So, but sometimes, on the odd occasion, I managed to get his coffee perfect. So if he wants, because he realized if he's going to continue complaining, I'm not going to make him coffee and he can make his own coffee. So he's gotten used to, as he calls it, milky coffee. It's not really that milky, but in his mind it's very milky. So now, let's say he did not adapt to that. He will hold this grudge. You can never make good coffee. You intentionally make this coffee badly. And that he will never acknowledge, for example, when I made the coffee well, or the way he likes to drink the coffee. He will never acknowledge that. So you're trying to say, but this morning the coffee was fine. And then he says, no, it wasn't. There's that selective memory, for example. And I'm using a stupid example of everyday life, making coffee, but this is the stuff they use. We think the manipulator will use heavy things. No, they use everyday things to keep us in this position of manipulation. So, the last one is, I want you to write there, critical, to understand where they come from. Empathy, we have learned so much about empathy already. Empathy is the ability to understand another person's framework of reference, where they come from. to understand where they are coming from. As counselors, we have very good empathy. We are actually blessed with an empathetic heart. And this makes us vulnerable for manipulation. And the danger of a manipulator is they cannot understand your frame of reference. They are incapable of understanding that frame of reference. They do not understand where you're coming from. They don't understand your emotions, your feelings, or even your situation. It's just not possible. My brother, in a certain sense, I can relate this to, because I've got an office in my home and I work from home. Somehow he thinks, because I'm in my house, in my office, I'm available 24/7 to take his telephone calls. Even when I'm busy in a meeting or with a client or presenting contact sessions, he expects me to answer his call whenever he phones. And if I decline the call because I can't answer it, he's so cross with me. Because he's not got this ability to understand that I can't always answer my phone. I'm not capable of always answering my phone. So they don't understand my situation because in his mind, his sister's at home. So it's easy to always get hold of me. They might try to get a sense that they do understand, but they don't stay with that very long, because I have said to him, send me a WhatsApp when you need to call me. Then I can answer and tell you, I can take your call, or we can call each other after that time, or we can set up a time. And then he says to me, you mean I need to make an appointment to talk to my own sister? It's not what I'm saying. It's saying that I am not 24/7 available to answer his call when he needs something. Empathy is a developmental trait. Okay. Children only at the age of 4 have the emotional maturity to be a group, to function within a group. Unfortunately, in today's society, we force children before they are ready to form group affiliations, like at play school or daycare or whatever the case might be. I'm in the same position. My kids had to go to daycare because I worked. So from an early age. But if you are lucky enough to be a stay-at-home mom, remember this. A child only at the age of 4 starts to understand this concept, because they need, and this is something that's very important. You know, I want to share something that is of critical importance. We can only give of something after we've owned it. We first have to own a toy, I don't know, shoes, whatever it is, before we can share it. You have to own it. Because if you force somebody to share what they don't own, this is negative manipulation. So, in a sense, in the beginning, children are very selfish. They are very inward focused on their own needs. And we force them at a very young age to share with somebody else when they're not ready to share yet. There's an interesting study being done with twins now about giving, they're toddlers, between 2 and 4 years old, and they are given one, let's say one banana, to see what are they going to do. Are they going to share it? is the one going to keep it because they give it to one and not the other? And then, or they get different toys. The one gets a car and the other gets a ball. What are they going to do? Because they've been growing together and they've always had the same things. So this is this very interesting study to see the reaction of the children receiving different things in that age. So it's an ongoing thing. So watch the space, because they're trying to find out the thing about sharing and empathy. How does empathy grow in a child's, in a person's life? We need to know that they will not, the manipulator in your life will not show empathy to your situation. So be careful what you share with them in this season. Doesn't mean it's not going to change later. It can change later, but in this season, be careful what you share with them, because they haven't got the understanding of what's happening in your world. What is happening for you in this space. And that brings us back to, I just want to see here, there was somebody said it makes you moedeloos, and there was something else that I saw, it makes you discouraged. Because no matter what you try to share, the person does not seem to get it. They leave you hanging in this space. Okay. So I think, Jack, at this point, let us go and have a cup of tea. And then we'll be back here at 10:30.
100%. Let's do that. That's going to give you around 40 minutes. So stretch your legs and we'll see you back at 10:30.